Coming up next on This Week in Torrance, the city gets a first glimpse of the plans for a new Del Amo Fashion Center.
And Janice Hahn visits Torrance to discuss the economy's impact on small business.
Plus, puppy love between teenagers can sometimes turn violent. We'll tell you what teens need to know.
Then student musicians perform so others can in the future. These stories and much more are just seconds away.
Your local news starts right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Torrance. I'm Chun.
And I'm Ben McCain. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories. They'll start on the north end, then may rip the roof off the south end, and the three new major tenants may be moving in. These were just some of the plans for Del Amo Fashion Center's renovation. Simon Property Group shared some of their plans for changes at the mall, which will begin in early 2013. The work on the 2.3 million square foot space will take place in phases, which include adding new stores to the areas on Hawthorne Boulevard near Crate and Barrel. Phase 1 should be completed by the end of 2014, and much of the focus will be on the areas north and west of the lifestyle wing. Over the last several years, Del Amo Fashion Center has struggled to retain customers and retailers, but the property is worth the savings since it remains a huge sales tax generator for the city, and it is still one of the most visited malls in the nation. Area residents can choose to participate in upcoming community meetings to make their opinions on the plans heard. If you missed this preliminary planning meeting and would like to watch it online, visit the city's website at torranceca.gov and select the council meeting dated Tuesday, February 28th.
City Council started off the meeting with the Del Amo renovation plans, and after a brief recess, they continued with their regular meeting.
Thanks, Your Honor.
The city declared March 3rd as Torrance Farmers Market Day. The certified market is celebrating 20 years at Wilson Park. Besides selling produce to the South Bay, the market has also donated food to local food banks, senior centers, and other various charitable organizations. Mary Lou Weiss has been the manager of the market since it first began in 1992. At the meeting, she introduced several volunteers who have been with the market for the last 20 years. The Centennial Committee submitted their report for the first quarter of the year. They reported on November's Lights, Camera, Action event that kicked off the Centennial year. Postcards of the aerial photographs are still available for purchase, as well as Centennial bricks for the Centennial Plaza in downtown Torrance. The committee hopes to sell at least 600 bricks, and each brick costs $150 and can be inscribed with names and dates. The deadline for purchase is May 1st. Along with the Centennial bricks at the plaza, the city will also bury a time capsule later in the year. The committee is compiling a list of items to go in the time capsule. They are open to suggestions. So far, the committee has accepted $171,000 in donations from local businesses and supporters. Other Centennial events include the community parade and the dedication of the Centennial Plaza. Youth Council is also interviewing residents that are at least 100 years old. The council has already interviewed 7 of these residents. The Civil Service Committee has some new members. 8 people applied for the 2 available seats. After a vote, Keith Montoya and Marlo Schwartz will serve on the commission. Montoya and Schwartz were sworn in at the meeting. Unless the Max Policy Committee allows Torrance to use reserve funds for operating costs, effective June 30th, the city is withdrawing from Max Service or the Municipal Area Express. For those people affected by this potential change, the Torrance Transit Department encourages Torrance commuters who are traveling to El Segundo to use the number 2 or 3 line bus service. Those lines have similar routes, although commuting time will be longer.
A Torrance business had people dancing in the streets, or at least in the parking lot. Total Woman's first anniversary was the reason to dance. The gym and day spa demonstrated one of the many classes they've been offering here in Torrance since they opened a year ago. They also celebrated with an official ribbon cutting. Torrance council members were there to present gym managers with certificates of recognition. Besides machines, Total Woman Gym and Day Spa offers personal training and spa services like massages and facials.
Another business had reason to celebrate recently.
We worked with 30 different PhD researchers from universities across the country to help us write a curriculum that was going to be engaging, to be fun.
And young people can find that curriculum at Experium Science Academy. After opening their doors in Torrance just a month ago, Experium held their ribbon-cutting ceremony. The after-school academy teaches biology, chemistry, and physics in a state-of-the-art environment, all for enrolled students in grades K through 12. And at the academy, students are considered scientists, and they look the part, dressing in goggles and lab coats for their work. Classes run weekly for 8-week sessions. Up next, we'll tell you how some organizations are bringing help to small businesses.
And a discussion on teens in destructive relationships.
I'm starting to worry about my boyfriend. One minute he's supportive, the next minute everything is my fault. He says a couple of beers get him in a good mood. His idea of a couple of beers usually turns out to be a lot more than just one or two. And that's when I start to worry. After he's had too many beers, he gets really angry and I become the target. I hate to say it, but he reminds me too much of my last boyfriend. Aren't there any good men out there? My best friend is a social worker. She told me to try Al-Anon family groups so I could understand my feelings better. I didn't want to go because I didn't want to get into another argument with my boyfriend, but I'm glad I went. I'm starting to understand that I didn't cause his anger. I didn't cause his drinking. It's a great relief to hear a new perspective for my problems. Are you troubled by someone's drinking? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon family group meeting from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or visit alanonfamilygroups.org.
I'm Gary Sinise. I've had the great privilege of meeting and working with many of our country's heroes, our veterans, and heard their stories. But for the 58,272 names on the Vietnam Wall, their stories will never be shared. Help us change that. The Education Center at the Wall will put faces to the names, displaying photos, letters, and mementos of those who served, so their stories will never be forgotten. Visit buildthecenter.org and help us build it.
The economy is the big issue on every politician's mind, and constituents want to know what government is doing to help at all levels. Reporter Bianca Palos takes us to a recent meeting with Congresswoman Janice Hahn, where the focus was on small business help.
In the midst of an unstable economy, resources for small businesses may be priceless.
We want to revive this economy. We want to put people back to work. We want to keep people in their homes so that they can feel secure in spending their money in businesses.
Congresswoman Janice Hahn is a member of the Small Business Committee and makes it a point to keep small businesses afloat. Small business owners say one of their main concerns for them are accessing loans. So, a panel of business advisors spoke to a room full of small business owners at the Nakano Theater to address some of their concerns.
Get them off on the right foot with coaching, access to capital, and advisory personnel who can help them make sure their business is successful.
Local businesses also realized that resources they were in desperate need of are more accessible than they thought.
We definitely have been missing out on some resources that they offer that we have maybe been overpaying for services that have been kind of underdelivered, and it turns out, you know, just right here down the street we've got resources that are available to us for free.
Mayor Frank Scotto and council members encourage the community to take note of these opportunities to learn about better business methods.
Everything is a learned process. Owning a business, learning a skill. If nobody teaches you, you learn so slowly that you're almost going backwards.
It really depends on where you are in that world of being touched by what's happening. Same thing with small business. My business has been very significantly affected by the downturn in the economy. So all these kinds of things that we can do to help not only people get jobs, but small businesses succeed is a benefit. And I'm very pleased that we're here today, and I'm hoping that all of you just pick up something that you can use or something that you can pass on.
For businesses concerned about employee training costs, Pacific Gateway Career Center supports small businesses with little to no cost programs.
If an employer has a candidate they want to hire but doesn't have all the skill that they're looking for, we can help the employer reimburse a certain point of their amount for the training.
With these organizations within arm's reach, it'll give small businesses the reassurance they need to succeed.
I think it's like a wildfire. It's going to catch on eventually, but people will start to realize being an entrepreneur really allows you as an individual, as a human being, to contribute so much more to society.
Today wasn't just about networking, but about picking up and moving forward. Hopefully, with events like these, small businesses can see that they don't have to get resources all on their own. For This Week in Torrance, I'm Bianca Palos.
For more information on these small business organizations, visit the entrepreneurialcenter.org or visit sba.gov.
It may be surprising, but more than half of American high school students have experienced dating violence. The nation's leading teen dating abuse expert recently shed light on a problem that is often overlooked. Reporter Ella Sagamonian takes us there.
Love is a behavior. We think of it as a feeling, but it's a behavior.
A first love can be confusing, but relationship psychotherapist Jill Murray reminds over 100 parents and teens gathered at Torrance Memorial that actions speak louder than words.
I want teenagers to start looking at love, not in terms of, their pitter-patter little heart, but I want them to look at behavior, consistent behavior all of the time.
In the beginning of her career, Dr. Murray interned at a domestic violence shelter where she learned that all 250 women seeking help began their abusive relationships at 14 to 15 years old.
And parents aware of the signs of an abusive relationship, because I think that kids are inexperienced as far as relationships go. I think that the media culture that they're living in and the technology culture that they're living in makes us very appealing and very prevalent, and they don't know the difference between a normal and not normal relationship.
After pop star Chris Brown sent Rihanna to the hospital, the two have people questioning, yet others accepting, their suspected relationship that has been eluded by their new collaborative song, Birthday Cake.
I think that as consumers, we need to tell kids, this is not what you want, this isn't okay, and this isn't normal either.
And Dr. Murray points out that relationships don't necessarily have to be physical to be abusive. So it's important to keep in mind and learn the warning signs early on.
If you're in a relationship where you're crying a lot, you're on the phone with your partner and you're begging, pleading, apologizing, crying, that's an abusive relationship. Especially when you're a teenager, you should be happy in your relationship. There's really no reason to be crying.
Other warning signs include not feeling free to leave when you want to, making white lies about where you are to your partner, begging and pleading for things you may have not even done, always feeling wrong and being blamed, and the fear of expressing opinions or even making your partner angry.
It actually reminded me of relationships in the past. I didn't realize how abusive they were until I've heard these signs and warnings. I actually had a really bad one without even knowing it. Luckily I got out of it pretty quickly.
I really got how you needed to get out of a relationship that's really violent. It's horrible to go through.
But getting out of an abusive relationship may not be as easy as getting into one, so the importance of recognizing signs from the start is crucial. For Torrance City Cable, this is Ella Sagamonian.
To learn more about teen dating abuse prevention, visit drjillmurray.com. Coming up, we'll bring you to a show where performers pay the music forward.
When I grow up, I want to be a psychologist or a therapist.
I want to be a pediatrician.
I was hoping to become a chef someday.
I want to own a big house with the convertible and the jacuzzi and the pool, all the good stuff.
Role models, they don't tell you what to do, but they help you to go where you're going.
I want to study law. I don't want to become a lawyer. I want to become a CIA agent. Young people, I think, do need a mentor because, we don't know everything. And, all the people, they've experienced stuff that we haven't.
I would like to be a baseball player. As long as there's somebody behind you, pushing you and supporting you, then you feel that you always have the strength to keep going.
Well, I would like to become a doctor. That's my first choice.
Sometimes you feel down and you feel that no one really understands and no one knows where you're coming from, and it's great to see someone who's been where you are now and making it.
So get involved and do your part. Invest in the future. Mentor a child.
How far would you go to help someone? Would you go to the end of your driveway? Would you cross the street? Would you cross an ocean? Would you go if you could use your knowledge to teach someone? And in the process, maybe learn something yourself. Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps.
The Glen Comida Youth Ensemble is part of a unique group called In Time, and they share the music literally and figuratively. Reporter Lily Mojica explains.
Local elementary school students were in for a special treat recently. The North Torrance Youth Musicians Ensemble performed for a very big cause, one that will put new instruments in the hands of students from 5 different Torrance elementary schools.
We've been in existence for about 3 years now. Currently, we have 15 ensembles ranging from pre-K or pre-second grade string classes all the way to full orchestra. We have approximately 300 students we serve.
About 90% of the youth group members are from Torrance schools, and others are from surrounding city schools in Covina and Irvine. But they're all performing for nearly 300 fans, parents, and supporters at the James Armstrong Theater in hopes of raising at least $3,000.
I think that's really good because I feel like all the schools need music, and because we have so many budget cuts and stuff and people are trying to cut music out of schools, I think this is like one of the best fundraisers we can do, and to show these little kids that it's cool to play music.
The local youth ensemble ranges in ages from 2nd through the 12th grade, and parents were beaming with pride watching their children perform on the big stage.
It's just the most phenomenal place for him to grow musically and to have the opportunity to not only play great music but also to do things for the community and to raise funds for a nonprofit.
My daughter Isabella performed tonight. She actually had a flute solo playing a Mozart piece. That was near the end of the first half, and I couldn't be prouder. She did a wonderful job, and we were just so happy, so glad to see her play. She did great. We're so proud of her.
Many of the students performing say they were inspired by music at some point in their lives, and now they hope to pay it forward.
I hope I make a long-lasting impression on them, and I hope they follow music into their future life also.
I got involved in music when I was in elementary school. The middle school band came to our school to play, and that just inspired me to play into music.
After ticket sales and the sale of baked goods and souvenirs, the orchestra raised about $2,500. The kids played their hearts out tonight, and judging by the applause, you can tell their parents couldn't be more proud. For This Week in Torrance, I'm Lily Mojica.
For more information, go to intime.org. And that's going to do it for us on This Week in Torrance. I'm Ben McCain.
And I'm Chun. If you've missed any portion of our show, you can catch us again at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.